Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome once again to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Angle, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network with a shout out to our listeners in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Nevada, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Colorado, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and of course you can also watch us on the AUN TV network in places like San Francisco, San Rafael, Marin, North Bay, San Jose, Silicon Valley, Santa Rosa, Redding, Sacramento, Chico, and soon in Reno, Carson City, and Lake Tahoe, Nevada. Here today with me is my co-host, Melissa Isaak. Welcome, Melissa, to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Thanks, Sharron. It's always good to be here. And of course, as always, we have a great lineup of guests for our listeners.
Yes, we do. And, you know, we always talk about things beforehand that are kind of pushing our buttons. Maybe not so much yours, but they push mine.
Push mine too.
I guess one of the big button pushers for me is this whole idea that you defend your castle, right? We have a castle doctrine. You defend your castle, and by golly, you're the bad guy. Talk to me a little bit about how this happens, how the McCluskeys in St. Louis all of a sudden became the perpetrators.
So the McCluskeys, who were in their home on their property, when the protesters busted through their gates, went onto their property, they came out armed on their property. They felt, and here these people are in the middle of, you turn on TV, there's riots, there's looting, there's violence, and all of a sudden there's these protesters on their lawn. They come out armed on their property. They were dubbed Ken and Karyn. Of course, Karyn is a very derogative term for a white woman, and so their pictures are all over social media. But, you know, and for the most part, people made fun of them for the way that she held her gun and everything, but they were on their own property. There's a lot of misinformation about it, but it got cleared up pretty fast. They were on their own property. They were charged with a felony on their property, and because, you know, the state said, well, we don't want to have a chilling effect on the people out there exercising their First Amendment right. Number one, you're on someone else's property, right? You can't just bust through someone's gate. And I would think if there was someone on my property, I have children, I have a family, and I felt threatened, I would want to have a chilling effect. Get off my property. I don't want my kids to be subjected to that. So for the state to give into political correctness and give into whatever is hot in the moment, which is, you know, the BLM protests, that these people cannot protect their own homes is atrocious. But the Attorney General of Missouri weighed in and he said, absolutely not. Everything was dismissed, I believe, within hours of the charges being brought because it was so incredibly absurd. But you're going to send that message to the people of the United States that you can protect yourself on your own property if you feel that your safety is at risk. Completely atrocious.
Well, I was just waiting for them to say that my castle doesn't include my yard, that they have to break into my house before the castle doctrine takes effect. But I wanted to read something. I think it's really pertinent. Mr. McCluskey said, I'm not going to be bullied. Mm-hmm. They said, are you going to leave? He says, I'm not going to be bullied. I'm not going to be intimidated. He says, people need to stand up, wake up, and recognize this for what it is. It's a concerted effort to destroy our way of life, to change the fundamental basic social contract, to do away with capitalist democracy and replace it with mob rule, encouraging violence, protecting criminals from prosecuting people to try to defend themselves against it. It's a bizarre world, and it's time for people to wake up and pay attention to it. And I'm so glad he stood up and said that. You know, I feel like he's a hero. We should have those words just emblazoned on our own doors. Right. Stand up and fight back. That's so right. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, NetTalk America, and AM/FM 24/7. I'm Sharron Angle here with my co-host Melissa Isaak, and we'll be right back to talk about our guests. Don't go away.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Angle here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak. If you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of our show, check out our website, ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com. While you're there, friend us, like us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And Melissa, we have some terrific guests today. Would you tell us who we are interviewing?
Yes, we're going to be speaking with Susan Crabtree, and Susan wrote an article, Rioters Defund the Police Push Puts Democrat candidates on the defense. Susan is a White House and national political correspondent for Real Clear Politics, where she covers President Trump, his administration, their conflicts with Capitol Hill, the 2020 election, spending battles, and national security. And she's been an analyst. She's been written in several magazines. This lady knows what she's talking about. So she wrote this article about the Democrat candidates, and you know, it's sad. I want to ask her, how many of these Democrats actually buy this stuff, actually buy defunding the police? Because, you know, here in Alabama, of course, we you know, especially Montgomery, we have a large Democratic population. I'm just not hearing a lot of people get on board with that, but apparently some people are. But interesting, I can't wait to talk to her. Anne-Marie Hancock. She is an award-winning journalist, radio and television personality, and talk show host. She's has interviewed many famous people. Her latest book is You Can't Drive a Car to Your Own Funeral, and that's based upon her 3-year experience, her 3-year journey with taking care of her terminally ill mom. And we're going to talk about the coronavirus as it relates to nursing homes, because really, you know, people didn't have any choice. They're moving people with coronavirus into the nursing homes, and Yeah, I think the last number I saw was over 40% of the deaths can be attributed or related to nursing homes, which is atrocious. So we need to see how do we advocate for loved ones in nursing homes. And Karyn Turk, I watched a video that Karyn Turk put together, The Truth About the COVID-19 Plandemic, and it is interesting. So you can tell she really did her homework on this because she exposes a lot about Dr. Fauci and his wife, of course, Bill Gates, and he's a known globalist. But yeah, I think she has a lot of information that we as Americans need to know going forward before this vaccine is rolled out, and definitely before the election.
Well, and I'm not sure I even want to take the vaccine now. You know, the more I hear about these things, the more I'm thinking, wait a second, what's really going on? Because I'm getting so much conflicting information, inconsistent facts. I don't know what to believe anymore, Melissa. And here our president now, he said, Dr. Fauci, you can't come on the TV with me anymore. But he's also saying you got to wear a mask. So what's going on there? I don't understand where he's coming from now. I'm feeling like he's not getting all the facts either.
Well, and President Trump, like the rest of us, he has to rely on information and statistics from these various agencies. And it seems like these agencies, the health department, who's giving a lot of wrong numbers, the FDC, who's supposed to be impartial, it seems like they're not impartial. It seems like this is a democratic or political game, because of this election coming up. So unfortunately, Donald Trump isn't a scientist. He's not a medical doctor. He has to rely on the information given to him just like we do.
Just like we do, which is very, very hard to sort.
Inconsistent. Yes. It's very inconsistent.
I'm just having such a difficult time. And I know people look to me, they say, well, you're on the radio, you should know the facts. And the more I research, the more confounded I am, because I can find one set of facts that supports this and another set that supports something totally different and totally contrary. In some ways, the numbers just don't add up. It's, I'm so done with it. I'm so done with
That's
it.
right.
And speaking about done with it, we are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios around the world on the internet. I'm Sharron Angle here with Melissa Isaacs, and we'll be right back with our first guest, Susan Crabtree. She's going to talk to us about politics, really. Rioters defund the police push, puts Democrat candidates on the defense. I hope so. We'll be right back after these.
Mom, thank God you're gonna be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm gonna call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Angle, here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak. And Melissa, we have our first guest. Would you please introduce her?
Yes, we are here with Susan Crabtree, and Susan is a White House and national political correspondent for Real Clear Politics, where she covers President Trump, his administration and their conflicts with Capitol Hill, the 2020 election, spending battles, and national security. She previously served as a senior writer for the Washington Free Beacon and 5 years at the White House as a White House correspondent for the Washington Examiner. Prior stints include 7 years as a senior editor and investigative reporter for The Hill. She's a frequent guest political analyst on Fox News, as well as numerous conservative talk radio shows. She's written for several magazines, including The Weekly Standard, and the Economist-owned Capital Style, where she was a senior writer. She's won several awards for investigative reporting from the Society of Professional Journalists and the National Press Club. And Susan, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Thanks for having me, Melissa and Rachel.
So we're going to talk about your article that you wrote, Rioters Defund the Police puts Democratic candidates on the defense. And this is very interesting because being an election year, there's, of course, people are going to stay away from certain issues that they maybe normally wouldn't. So tell us about this article that you wrote and about the Democratic candidates.
Well, it started off because Joni Ernst, the Republican senator from Iowa, she has a bill out right now that would actually not defund the police, but do the exact opposite. She wants to defund the cities that allow places like the Chaz and the CHOP, like we had in Seattle, these police-free zones, to not get certain federal funding if they go along with and let these police-free zones flourish in their cities, where we have seen acts of violence taking place. People died in the Chaz after the mayor called it a Summer of Love area and sort of described it as a festival. It can go downhill very, very quickly, as we've seen, and the violence has risen since these police-free zones have been allowed to flourish in cities across this country. So you have Senator Joni Ernst sort of capitalizing on this because she is well aware that polls have shown that the American public, big majority of the American public, does not support this big push, the defund the police movement that we've seen come out of this Black Lives Matter protest in the wake of George Floyd's terrible death. And across the country, we've seen, in the last weeks, we thought the violence was subsiding a little bit, and now we have new sort of unrest and in Portland, and the federal agents trying to resolve that. But the Defund the Police movement, polls have shown, there was a recent poll, the Pew Center poll, which is nonpartisan, showed that 79% of Americans do not support this defund movement. And you see it through senators as well. Democratic senators who are the most vulnerable have been running away from this issue, including Doug Jones in Alabama and Gary Peters in Michigan.
Yeah, and you're correct on Doug Jones. I'm in Alabama, so he's my senator right now. And you're right, he's very vulnerable. It's not going to stop his opponent, Tommy Tuberville, from bringing up all the stuff that he's done in the past. But you're right, they tend to run from certain issues in an election year. But, talking about not giving federal funding to some of these municipalities or states that allow this complete lawlessness. The mayor of Minneapolis is now basically begging for federal funding because he sat back and I think tweeted out the fact he was wearing Hillary Clinton socks while the city was burning down, didn't do anything about it. Now he's begging for federal funds. So that makes sense. So, we look at these like the Medicaid for all or the Green New Deal or these very expansive programs that are going to cost us a lot of money. Do you see a lot of these politicians still running on those platforms?
Oh yes, we saw a Congresswoman tweet out earlier today, part of the extended part of the squad. She was saying that cancel student debt, cancel rent, defund the police. I mean, it's become sort of a mantra that you can get free things without free expansive government care, especially amid the pandemic. You've seen it even grown a little bit louder, those cries during the pandemic. But I think here, when it comes to defunding the police, I think the American people's feelings are very, very clear on this. They, even in the African American community, this is a big Democratic overreach, and I think they're gambling on this is probably not going to pay off for them come November. And they're according to the polls, they're sitting pretty good in terms of their ability to beat Donald Trump. And polling is all we have to go on right now, even though the president likes to talk about a silent majority. The problem is that this Pew poll even found that African American voters do not support this defund the police by like 46%. Mm-hmm. So it's not I don't see this as a winning issue for Democrats, and they seem to be overreaching here, and we'll have to see how it plays out. But no, AOC, Congressman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has said she means what she says. When she says defund the police, she's not talking about retraining and redirecting the funds. She wants them defunded, and we've seen that happen across the country. In Minneapolis, they did the city council did vote to redirect some of those funds, and in Los Angeles, that's happened as well as New York City. And at the same time, we've seen an increase in violence in those same cities.
Mm-hmm. And that we're really kind of split right now between Republicans and Democrats, because you see some of the National Guards being activated, this militarization on American citizens. You have some people cheering and saying it's about time, we never should have let it got to this point. Then we have other people saying this is completely inappropriate, that we have soldiers in the streets on our Americans. So where is the political divide? I mean, don't we have some Democrats that are also saying enough of this lawlessness? We need the police, and no, we need our National Guard or reserves to go in there and instill some law and order?
Well, it's interesting because I think that what emerged in the last week in Portland has been disturbing to libertarians on the right as well as Democrats. In terms of the use of federal agents to go into cities. And, the Trump administration, I was at the White House yesterday, they're vociferously defending this policy of using federal agents. And I don't know if they're exactly unmarked cars, but a lot of people have described them as unmarked cars coming out and doing snatch and grab type paramilitary tactics. And Americans aren't used to seeing that happen. And the Democratic officials in those states and the local officials don't really want these agents there. But you know what? Donald Trump, in some ways, has a good point. these are federal buildings that they're trying to set on fire in Portland. The protests have gone on for weeks in Portland and without subsiding. I think that the federal government the federal buildings are taxpayer funded, so the government has both the right and also almost the obligation to go in there and protect its buildings. But it's just how exactly do you do that? I asked the White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany yesterday, why not each use the Insurrection Act? The Insurrection Act, as we know, George H.W. Bush used in 1992 to try to calm down the riots in L.A., the Rodney King riots, and he was very successful in using that. It brings in military National Guardsmen into the state, even if the Democratic officials don't want them there, it overrides that. So, you know, he has very tools in his toolbox that the White House, that President Trump can use, but he's turning to this particularly controversial one right now, and we're seeing that play out in the streets of Portland, and it's sort of jarring for a lot of Americans to see these federal agents in uniforms they're not used to seeing, pushing back on this line of moms, and they are being attacked too by fireworks, broken bottles. You know, it's really a violent clash, and there's a lot of people think there might be a better way if we just had a bigger show of force. It's a very difficult to sort of do the Monday morning quarterbacking on this, though.
Right. All right, we're speaking with Susan Crabtree. We're going to have to take a break, and we're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM FM 24/7, and we'll be right back.
Attention homeowners, do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled, regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Welcome back, listeners, to Conservative Commandos Radio Show. I'm Sharron Angle here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak. And if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of our show, please check out our website, ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com. And while you're there, be sure to friend us, follow us, and like us on Facebook and on Twitter. We've been talking with Susan Crabtree, who is a White House and national political correspondent for Real Clear Politics. She's written an article, Rioters Defund the Police Puts Democrat Candidates on the Defense. And she started her article talking about a race in Iowa between Joni Ernst and a lady named Teresa, Greenfield, the Democrat. Now, I would have never thought Joni had much of a race there. What's changed, Susan?
Well, it seems like what's changed is the polling in Iowa. We don't know if this is a real or if the silent majority that President Trump talks about is tamped down a little bit when being asked to speak about the president and their plans on their voting plans. The president says, Democrats are trying to intimidate his supporters and they don't feel comfortable speaking out sometimes. That these polls are not accurate, as we saw in 2016. They were wildly inaccurate. But what's going on here is the most recent poll shows that Teresa Greenfield has an edge on Joni Ernst by 3 points. So, and also President Trump, you've seen recently, put more money and people into Iowa, a state that he won by 9 points in 2016. So this is a pretty vulnerable, more vulnerable situation than Joni thought Senator Ernst thought she would be in at this point. And the Trump campaign is having to expend resources, which is never a good thing this early in the race in a place you won by 9 points. So, Senator Ernst is trying to highlight the differences between herself and Teresa Greenfield. And Greenfield is kind of uncomfortable in the zone because she would like to define herself as a protector of the social safety net right now, especially during the pandemic. She's trying to appeal to sort of those moderate suburban mom type voters in Iowa who don't really likely relate to this extreme positions in the Democratic Party right now, such as the Defund the Police movement and the Green New Deal and things like Abolish ICE, which have backfired on them in the past.
Well, it seems like this Teresa Greenfield didn't realize that she had a really competitive race until just now, and now she's trying to kind of triangulate that or smooth that over. She's not really doing what Jones did in Alabama, though. He's just saying, nope, I don't agree with that, right? But there's this, they think they've got a middle ground here. Do you think there's a middle ground?
Well, when actually Joni Ernst was asking her to say, what do you think about defund the police? And she was quiet for weeks and weeks. And then I asked her what she thought, and she came out with this sort of, middle of the road type of response. She doesn't believe in defunding any police. She believes in retraining, body cameras for all police at all times, and more money for sort of anti-police brutality type tactics. No chokeholds, obviously. That's an immediate problem for people who have learned lessons from the George Floyd incident in police brutality. So that's what she sort of came out to me as. But I think that when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the congresswoman from New York, the leader of the squad, is saying she believes defund the police means defund the police, and some of her fellow members of the squad are describing the police as a cancer on our society. I think that's not helpful for people like Teresa Greenfield, who are trying to carve out this middle ground, and also Barry Peters and Doug Jones. They are saying we need retraining. I mean, this all sounds very, very good. It still takes money. So you have a limited budget. Where are you going to find the money?
Well, that's right. And I don't think that voters are as naive to the euphemism that is, it's just rampant in the Democrat Party. When they say retrain or reform, they really are talking about a whole different change, aren't they?
Well, overhauling is another good word, right? But all of this takes time, money's priority. Where are you going to get that money in the limited, especially when the tax base is down in the pandemic? Governor Newsom is in a bit of a panic. He's $50 billion in the hole. Los Angeles, meanwhile, is redirecting money from police operations, $150 million, in there to defund the police movement. And you've seen a rise in violence in Los Angeles and in New York, as we've seen. Also, Chicago, I haven't looked into what they're to fund the police, how that has tracked in Chicago, but certainly in New York, de Blasio was having a great time building a Black Lives Matter outside of the Trump Hotel, and meanwhile he's defunding the police. I don't know if that plays in Manhattan. It might play well for him in Manhattan, but it doesn't play well in Peoria, and I don't think it's going to play well in Des Moines.
I don't think it plays well any place, and especially when you have folks that have actually now they're relying or wanting to rely on federal funding to fill in that gap that they actually made. Isn't that true?
Well, right, and certainly during the pandemic, the governors are coming, hat in hand to Washington with President Trump. We've seen that throughout the last 3 months, and begging for more money, whether it be for the coronavirus or for schools. You see the Democrats this week in their next stimulus bill. They're having already drawing out the battle lines for the next stimulus bill, and they want way more money for schools that aren't even going to be opening for students. Most of them, especially I know for a fact in California, Governor Newsom last Friday, he shut down all the schools for the fall who are not abiding by this very high hurdle of coronavirus standards. So at that point, we're in a place where the Democrats there's budget deficits running across the country, in states across the country, with the taxes, the economy in such a bad shape. Meanwhile, you have President Trump saying he wants to, restart the economy. So this is the difference is I've in my lifetime been more stark in the decision that voters have to make come November.
Well, it does seem like there's some clear lines. Susan Crabtree is our guest, and we want you to tell us, Susan, how our audience can friend you, find you, connect with you, read your articles.
Yes, you can read them on realclearpolitics.com. I also have a Twitter handle. It's just Susan Crabtree, pretty basic. And I tweet out my responses to the president's comments. I'm sometimes in the White House briefing, as I was yesterday. So please do follow me. Would appreciate it.
And we are so grateful that you were our guest here on Conservative Commandos radio show. Take care and God bless.
Great to be with you. Thanks so much.
And I'm Sharron Angle here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak. You hear from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios. We'll be right back with our next guest, Anne-Marie Hancock, talking about more than 40% of the U.S. coronavirus deaths are linked to nursing homes, right after this break.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000. You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club for around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry. They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more. Call the number on your screen now for a free, no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and zero deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Angle here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak. And if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of our show, check us out on CCRShow.com, CCRShow.com. Be sure to friend us, follow us, and like us there on Twitter and on Facebook. Melissa, our next guest is available for us now. Would you please introduce her?
Yes, we're here with Anne-Marie Hancock, and she's an award-winning journalist, radio and television personality, and talk show host who's interviewed many famous people. She's the author of 2 previous books, Be a Light and Wake Up America. Her latest book, You Can't Drive Your Car to Your Own Funeral, is based on the 3-year journey of caring for her terminal mother and the spiritual as well as practical lessons she's learned along the way. She has an extensive background in volunteerism. She served on the Parents' Council of the Virginia Military Institute. She co-chaired the State Catholic Concilium on Education, served on the board of Virginia Goodwill Industries, the Pediatric Infusion, the James River Association, the Virginia Wildlife Festival, and has worked extensively with the Make-A-Wish Foundation and hosted the first Miss Virginia wheelchair pageant. So, Anne-Marie, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Thank you so much. What a lovely introduction. You all are like vitamins. I think I would love for you to travel with me.
So your latest book, You Can't Drive Your Car to Your Own Funeral, so it looks like that there's a lot of personal experience that went into that, and you have a lot of insight into caring for terminally ill people. So tell us a little bit about your latest book.
Well, the latest book evolved from keeping a journal for some 3 years. And while I took care of my mother with squamous cell cancer, hadn't intended to write a book, and then when all was said and done, realized that there were a lot of valuable lessons that hadn't been shared and lessons that I myself needed to learn. I'd had a healing ministry for many years that took me all over the world, Venezuela, Italy, France, you name it, and had had enormous experience with terminally ill children. You had noted a moment ago the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So I really thought I was well prepared for this adventure, and it was extremely humbling. I was to learn some more humility, which is always good for all of us. I was to learn that often silence is golden. I became much more spiritual. I think I've always had a spiritual bent, but I became totally dependent on the Lord and would actually have conversations with him every evening saying, okay, today didn't go very well. Help me out. Tomorrow I'm going back in. You give me your words. You give me your heart. You give me your ears. And with that, repeatedly over a period of 3 years, I was able to do things that I really didn't think I was able to do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, we're talking about the issue with nursing facilities, and let's transition over to coronavirus. So is it true that 40% of coronavirus deaths are linked to nursing homes?
I am so happy we're talking about that. The latest figures that have come out are between 40 and 52%, and some 52,000 have died in some, and those figures are debatable, between 14,000 and 10,000 nursing homes, and those are very current figures. So it's very interesting to note and even to ask, why nursing homes? I think in order to discuss this intelligently, and I know I need to be quick, we need to talk about the advent of nursing homes, and we need to go back to the 60s when the government offered all kinds of perks, including tax-free bonds, to entrepreneurs to jump into the business. Well, why did they need to? Because we were evolving from the Walton mentality. What's the Walton mentality? Everybody saw that show for years on the tube, where grandma and uncles and cousins all lived together. They cared for each other lovingly. They cared for each other at home. Well, what happened in the late 60s, the mid to late 60s, is that the family structure broke down. And because it did, there was a need for nursing homes. And as it came about, it was very interesting. The opportunities were offered primarily, as I said, to entrepreneurs and people who own construction companies. Why? Because they knew a lot about building. And also, we know today that some 70% of our nursing homes are for profit. But what's the problem? Well, since our time is limited, it's extremely important that I say we have major problems. Why? Because, first of all, our numbers are questionable. Why do I say that? Because of Medicaid reimbursement. Often, for instance, when we go into a hospital, you stayed until you were well. This is not the case anymore. What we do now, we have so many restrictions and so many regulations, and we, the hospitals, are financially compensated for COVID cases. And so we want to get people in and we want to get people out very quickly. And there are groups that determine what is an average day for an average illness. But what is happening, the people transitioning that are going into these nursing homes because of often Medicaid reimbursement, they can't stay, also Medicare. They're told your time is up for this disease. We are getting sicker and sicker people in the nursing homes, because whereas they used to be cared for in the hospitals and often until death, they are now transitioning to the nursing homes. Now, what's the problem with the nursing homes? We have all kinds of strong regulations. In fact, I've spent the last 2 days going through them. But the problem is enforcement. They're not being enforced. The other problem is penalties. The penalties for violation, for instance, regulations for preventable disease, the penalties are minimal. So what happens sometimes, not all the time, the homes will pay the penalty rather than make the change. It's cheaper. If we have to add new equipment and more staff, and God bless the staff, they're paid $13 an hour, and many of the places, they're understaffed, they're underpaid. Back in the 60s, we talked about the evolution. Nursing homes were built with 60 beds and one nursing station per 60 beds. Now we have 120, we have 220. They're overburdened. The help is overburdened. They are underpaid. And there are a lot of questions we need to ask before putting someone in a nursing home. What is your staffing? What is your staffing per patient? How do you accommodate these people with all the social distancing? They're sick. Are your people all sharing toilets and showers? What are you doing in terms of disease prevention? Also, for your listeners, go to the websites in every state and check out the penalties, the violations, if they've been paid or not paid. And for heaven's sakes, don't be timid about asking the questions. What is your turnover? Are you fiscally sound? Can you demonstrate that to me? How do you handle social distancing and yet also socialization? What about my mother, my brother, my sister's spiritual needs? My mother is Catholic. She's used to going to Mass. How are you going to handle that in lieu of COVID? Never, ever be intimidated asking the questions. You must ask the questions. My husband owned nursing homes for years, and he's a specialist in hospital law. He developed the specialty of hospital law in the United States. And his motto was always, treat people as you would treat your family. It's imperative. Many of these people are sick. They're being thrown in with people they don't know, maybe sometimes people they don't want to know. These are all things you need to think about. But we're living in times where families, unlike the Waltons, are deferring responsibility. We're too busy. Mom was too difficult. I'm not going to do that. That you do it if you want to, but I don't have the time for that. I think that we have become extremely egocentric since the 60s. We have transitioned completely, and I am not saying that nursing homes are terrible places. We're doing wonderful things now with living clusters. We're doing wonderful things with continuing care communities. And some of them even have their own garages, and the people have lots of independence. And I don't care how old you are. You want to be independent. You want to maintain socialization. You want to maintain your spiritual life, and you have a right to ask. My mother had a 14-hour operation. She had squamous cell cancer. They took the top of her head, they took the side of her face, her spine was cracked, and she had a massive turban on her head. I stayed the night with her. The doctor came in at 5 a.m. in the morning. 5 a.m. I'm going to repeat that. And he said, not seeing me in the corner of the room, "Are you ready to go home, Mrs. Carricker?" I said, "Absolutely not.
Wow.
You must have an advocate. You absolutely must have an advocate."
Absolutely.
And
with,
remember,
with these numbers that we're seeing, with some of these things that you're asking, or you're telling our listeners to ask the nursing home, is imperative, especially looking at these numbers. And the financial incentives from the federal government have never helped anything that I've been aware of. But right now we're talking with Anne-Marie Hancock. We're going to have to take a break. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM FM 24/7. And we'll be right back.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Angle here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak, and we want to tell you a little bit about the AUN TV network in Northern California. If you live there, you can watch us in San Francisco, San Rafael, Marin, North Bay, San Jose, Silicon Valley, Santa Rosa, Redding, Sacramento, Chico, and soon in Reno, Lake Tahoe, and Carson City, Nevada. We've been talking with our guest, Anne-Marie Hancock, who's an award-winning journalist, radio, and television personality, and also a talk show host who's interviewed many famous people. And she also has written an article. No, she hasn't written this article. Sorry. We're going to talk to her about this article. We've been talking about more than 40% of U.S. coronavirus deaths are linked to nursing homes, and she was telling us about her experience with nursing homes, her book that she's written about her experience with her mother. Tell us the name of that book one more time, Anne-Marie, so that our listeners can get it.
I would be happy to. It's called You Can't Drive Your Car to Your Own Funeral. And it's probably important that I say, so no one misunderstands, I made the choice, Sharron, as I believe you did, to take care of my mother at home. She wanted to be at her home, and I honored it and went each day for 3 years. She had terminal cancer. I did not opt for a nursing home. But segueing from that last segment with Melissa, it's imperative that I point out something to your listeners and your viewers, and it's this. These numbers, 52,000 deaths, I question seriously. I have studied the numbers for 2 weeks. Florida is reevaluating. Texas is reevaluating. And let me share with you why. Because this applies in hospitals as well as nursing homes. If your mom comes into the hospital and she has pneumonia, terrible pneumonia, and is very sick, and she may, and I said may, also have COVID, her death will go down as COVID. In the hospital setting, it's because we're talking about reimbursement, and there is more reimbursement, more monies for COVID than pneumonia. Now let's transition very quickly before we move on to the nursing home. Same thing. You may have bronchitis, terrible bronchitis. Your mom may have pneumonia. She could have a whole host of diseases. And my understanding from being a little familiar with coding is there are some 1,300 categories included in the coding, and you can go down with any one of those diseases or sicknesses. But your death is being reported as COVID. And this is why you are seeing the reevaluation of numbers, not just Texas and Florida. The woman I call the scarf lady who gets up to talk every day about the diseases with Fauci, she made the comment that the CDC's numbers are all over the place and often don't even make sense. That's the reason. So now we can move on and talk about home. In my book, I called it You Can't Drive Your Car to Your Own Funeral, because the car is so symbolic in my mother's life. The car in psychology takes us to something or away from something, a dream, a mission, whatever. And for my mom, it took her away from cancer. She was totally independent and happy as a clam in her little red Toyota with the license plate perfect. And so that's where our title came from. And I'd mentioned in the first segment there were lots of lessons. I like to think I'm a very loving person. My special love has always been children. I lost a child, but children with cancer. That being the case, and I had also mentioned I had the healing ministry, just recapping. And it took me all over the world to several countries. So I thought I was well equipped to take care of Mama. But she was to teach me a lot, as was the Lord. Mom was a very complex lady, and sometimes people use the word difficult. I prefer complex. And I give examples, several in the book. I write the book with great humor because I think I have a wonderful sense of humor. And so I made up my mind initially when I took on the task of caretaking, I was going to use that humor. So when I would insist on driving and Mom would say, that's not going to happen, I'm driving, she would tell me I drive like Moses. And I would retort with, Mama, when did you see Moses drive? And then there were several times, Sharron, that unfortunately I was called a moron. And we can take things personally in caretaking, but it does not serve you to do that. We are committing in love, and we need to understand that these people are sick, they're worn out, they're depressed, they're lonely, they're making a journey by themselves. Consequently, cut the ice sometimes with humor. When Mom called me a moron, I reminded her that our heritage is Irish, that I spent some time in Ireland researching our name. It's spelled M-O-R-O-N, and it's pronounced moron. I said, Mom, we're a whole family of morons. And that would cut the ice. I would find that my mom would giggle, if only for a moment. But I always thought our Irish name was Moran. But they were quick to tell me in Dublin, no, you're a moron. So my mother was correct. So a sense of humor is extremely important when dealing with the sick, and you've done it, and you know, Sharron, you've got to laugh at yourself, you've got to laugh at life. You can't take things personally. It's not about us, it's about the one we're taking care of. And again, they're taking that journey alone. They deserve love, they deserve compassion, they deserve humor. Spirituality was another issue. And of course, I thought, well, it's my job as we came to the end of our journey together to talk spirituality. No, it was not my job. And that's one of the lessons I learned. You meet people and meet the sick where they are. My mom was very private. She did not want to talk about spirituality. But I would bring a slew of books in and pile them up and think maybe she'll pick one. That never happened until the last week of her life. And I was trotting on out the door after she said, oh, Ann, don't tell me you brought chicken salad again. And I said, yes, Mama, I did. I'll do better tomorrow. And she said, I want to tell you something. And I thought we were still talking about chicken salad. And she said, I read that book about John Paul. It was very long. It was very long. So I read some. But I did pick up on a couple prayers, and I kind of liked it. And that was my cue that Mom was pondering the end of her journey. And it's so important that I share with you, since I gave the eulogy at her funeral. My mother died on the feast of St. John Paul.
Well, there's always those comforting things for us, aren't there, that God gives us a comfort in all of it. I did have quite a little time with my father that I really treasured, about 6 years that my brothers and I shared the caretaking. And I think it's what you said about being an advocate is so important. Talk to us a little bit about advocacy and how we could advocate for a sick parent who is in a nursing home, or a sick relative even in a nursing home with COVID-19. How do we advocate there? Because we can't go and sit in the room with them now.
No, you can't go and sit in the room, but what you can do is call, and you can stay on those state health websites and check for violations, for penalties, for low staffing, for things. Be aware of the leadership at the nursing home. But what I would do, and what I have suggested to others, Sharron, is to make a call and say, hi, I'm Anne-Marie Hancock, and my mom is one of your patients, and I don't have to tell you how I love her, just as you love yours. I have a couple questions for you. And not to do it in an intimidating way. Everything we say should be helpful, hopeful, and uplifting. And so I would make the calls, and I've done it for friends that, oh, I don't know, I'm afraid, and I don't know what they'll say. I said, they're working for you. You are not working for them. This is your mother, the one who gave birth to you. She deserves love and care and nurturing, all of it. Ask the questions and ask them with love. And if you don't get the answers, move her.
Well, so I want to just briefly touch on testing. They're testing everyone now. Are they testing in nursing homes? Is this up to snuff? I mean, are we still getting false positives? What's going on with testing?
I am so happy you couldn't have asked a better question, because we have a news program here, and these two young ladies have been all over our news. I cannot tell you the names, but you could probably Google it and Google the situation. The two girls went for mammograms to a hospital I won't mention. They were offering a free testing. They got in line. The line was absolutely out the door and went on forever. They opted to leave after registering. And 2 weeks later, they got notification they were both COVID positive. It's all over the news. Never took the test, registered for the test, but there are advantages to bulking up these numbers, and that would be another show with us. We could talk a long time about why those numbers are being bulked up. I did point out that the CDC has admitted they've had enormous trouble with the numbers. Florida published numbers, and now those numbers have completely changed, and I'm sure a lot of it has to do with things like I just shared with you. These two young ladies have made the news because they got in line for a test, didn't test, and got their results that they were positive. So we have to be really careful. And the worst thing, Sharron, the worst thing that can happen to any of us, our loved ones, is to come from a place of fear. And there's a lot of fear being instilled in people today. I'm seeing it. I know you're seeing it. I'm talking about stark terror. And it's not half bad. People are dealing with sickness and disease and are being isolated. But the longer they're in, there are so many terrible things happening. I mean, I've been doing interviews all over the country, and from domestic violence to the divorce rate but people do not need to be in a state of fear.
Absolutely correct.
Fear
Absolutely
is not
correct.
of God. Fear, I'm going to say it again, fear is not of God.
Right.
We are either in fear or we are in love, and love is also faith. It's true confidence, trusting that God we love is taking care of us, and also understanding we use our common sense.
Anne Marie, we're so out of time, and we want to let our listeners know how they can follow you, read your book, get in touch with you. Would you tell us how that can happen?
Yes, I'm excited to tell you. You can go to my website, author-AnneMarieHancock.com. There are interviews from around the country there. There is something extremely notable. It's a letter from Mike Krzyzewski, the winningest coach in the history of basketball, and he talks about my daughter, Corey, and her MS. He compares her to Michael Jordan. Why am I mentioning Corey? Because all proceeds from my book are going to the Multiple Sclerosis Society. I am not keeping a penny. And Mike wrote a beautiful letter calling my daughter a Hall of Famer. He loves her. He's done special things for the family. So interviews are there. You can get the book at Target. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. You can get it on Amazon. And once again, that website is author Anne Marie Hancock. You can't drive your car to your own funeral.
Thank you so much, Anne Marie Hancock, for being our guest here on Conservative Commandos radio show. Take care and God bless you. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos radio studio networks. I'm Sharron Angle with my co-host, Melissa Isaak. We'll be right back with our next guest, Karyn Turk, discussing a video that she did on the real facts about COVID-19. Don't go.
Mom, thank God you're going to be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Conservative Commandos radio show. We'd like to give a shout out to those that are joining us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Nevada, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Colorado, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. And, of course, you can watch us on the AUN TV network in Northern California. Melissa, our next guest is ready. Would you please introduce her?
Yes, we are here with Karyn Turk, and she's a political commentator, actor, and news broadcaster. She's a prominent Trump supporter and has been vocal about her support for Donald Trump on various media interviews. She's married to a Palm Beach attorney, Evan Turk, and the couple has been involved in fundraisers for Roger Stone and hosted the Roger Stone Legal Fund in March and September of 2019. Karyn's career started in marketing when she joined CBS Radio. She also worked with Inomed Technologies Incorporated, a medical device company. In 2016, Turk won the Miss Florida U.S. Continental pageant to mark a milestone in her modeling career. In the same year, Turk got a job as a broadcaster on ION Channels, a Florida-based news channel. Karyn was named one of Florida's top power women and influencers. Apart from this, she has featured on Richtopia's top 250 most influential business journalists in the world list of 2018. Her achievements have also led her to feature in magazines, including the covers of Stepmom and Country Club Living. Karyn, that's quite an impressive resume you've got here, and welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Yeah, I even learned a little bit about myself. That was great. That was really impressive. Thank you so much.
And I'm sure that's not everything, but that is quite impressive there. And
that's the good stuff.
So there was a video, I watched the video actually a couple times, The Truth About the COVID-19 Plandemic, Gates Exposed. Tell us a little bit about that video, and oh my gosh, the information is mind-blowing.
It is, and I've gotten so much feedback on this, both good and bad. And, I'm pretty used to getting attacked on social media these days, but this has been a whole other level. And as a matter of fact, I just did an interview the other day on a channel that was then censored after they posted it. And I didn't give any medical advice or talk about anything except things that I talked about in my own video, is that you have to look at the timeline and the facts, and you have to look at Dr. Fauci and his connections and Bill Gates and learn what's behind this pandemic. And in a lot of ways, I do truly believe it's a pandemic. I believe that they're using this virus for political gain, and they're manipulating the American public to influence an election. And that election, if it wasn't Donald Trump, would be very different. But because it is, there are a lot of people that want to manipulate this situation and use this virus as a narrative for political gain. And Bill Gates is in large part behind that.
Absolutely. And I think watching your video is packed full of information. And there's bombshell after bombshell after bombshell. So, we have, is it Dr. Fauci's wife? She also has skin in this game, does she not?
She does. She actually works for the National Institutes of Health. And would you believe that she's actually the person that rubber stamps testing for vaccines? This to me was just mind-boggling when I uncovered it. And, there's been so much that has been talked about, even on the mainstream media, which of course I don't completely trust, but you can go out there and you can find facts. But I really try to dig in when I do these segments on Behind the Headlines TV, which is my YouTube channel. And what I try to do is I try to get behind the headlines, behind the mainstream media and even the conservative media, the things that you're going to see that are on the surface level. And I go really deep. And sometimes I crawl down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but it's a very good thing because you bring out these details that people don't know. And that was a big detail in this that I felt needed to come out. That, along with all of the connections that Bill Gates has to the World Economic Forum, and also CEPI, which is the Epidemic Preparedness Initiative that he started way before the election. And it seems that there were a lot of things that he did that were very prophetic. And you have to ask yourself, is Bill Gates a psychic, or how much skin does he have in this game?
Right. And, how did they know that this was going to happen? You use the perfect word, as prophetic, because Dr. Fauci was he was certain that there was going to be a pandemic happen during Trump's administration. So, and then Fauci's wife. Now, isn't it true that she use good rubber stamp these things, but as far as the testing and the field testing, and so she can help slide the vaccine through faster than most medications or most vaccines would. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole plan is to have Bill Gates be hailed as the hero in this thing. And if you look at who is now developing the vaccine, it's exactly the way that I said it would be. It's Moderna. And Moderna was a part of CEPI, which is what Bill Gates announced back at Davos at the World Economic Forum back in 2017. So, you look at it and you say, well, these are the same big pharma players that he's in bed with. And now all of a sudden, isn't it ironic that Moderna is going to be the one that came out with the vaccine? And if you do watch my Behind the Headlines TV episode, you'll see that I actually interviewed a vaccine developer who feels that he's been blocked from developing a vaccine, and they thought that they would have a vaccine ready to go by the fall, but they couldn't get the approvals that they need and the approvals for the testing in order to push it through. But now here we are, all of a sudden, Moderna, that name has popped up again, and they're hailed as the hero coming forward with the vaccine. And this is who CEPI brought in as one of their two big pharma players at the beginning of this in 2017, courtesy of Bill Gates.
There are a lot of questions that need to be asked. And so at this point, you're absolutely right. This is a political pandemic. The timing and context are just a little too fortuitous for the Democrats right before the election. But you look at some of the statements that Bill Gates has made, that if vaccines work, it will help with population control. That doesn't make any sense. But it seems like these statements are out there, And we hear them, we see them on social media, we click on them, we roll our eyes, and we move on. So why do you think more people aren't looking at this? Bill Gates is a known globalist. Why aren't we looking at this and saying, wait a minute, we got to put the brakes on here? But it seems like people are too content wearing their masks, giving up their freedoms, than they are really dialectically looking at these statements.
It's a culture of fear. And let me give you another great little tidbit that people need to take home. And if you're going to listen to one thing, listen to this. That Bill Gates' father was the president of Planned Parenthood. That's another little factoid that's not out there. And that makes a really big difference to me. And it should change the perspective of a lot of people on both sides of the aisle with just where Bill Gates comes from and what he's thinking about. And if you've heard him speak before, I actually pulled out a real throwback video about him. And he says, I grew up, knowing about Planned Parenthood. I grew up concerned about population control. I don't know about you, but my childhood really had a value system. And that's not only just a conservative thing, it's not just a Republican thing, it's something that people really need to wake up to and be concerned about. He is not relatable, and he's not relating to the average American.
No, he's not. And there's so much information about Bill Gates and his vaccines and the damage that the vaccines have done to children, even in other countries, that I don't know how red flags just aren't waving all over the place right now. It's very concerning. But Karyn, we're going to have to take a break. We're here with Karyn Turk, and she's given us some great information. It's something that we all need to really take in and digest and truly think about while this pandemic is here. But we're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM FM 24/7, and we'll be right back.
Attention homeowners. Do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled, regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Engel here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak. And if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of our show, check out our website, ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com, and be sure to friend us, follow us, and like us there on Facebook and on Twitter. We've been talking with Karyn Turk about an video that she's made, the truth about the COVID-19 pandemic and Gates exposed. Wow. And we've been just talking about it. We've been exposing one thing after another. Now, I'm in that age group that is vulnerable. How's that? And we saw them deliberately put the COVID-19 right into nursing homes. Is this how they are doing their next population control, Karyn?
Well, I have to go back to 2011, and I don't know if you remember this, but back in 2011, Mayor Bloomberg at the time, who then became, a presidential candidate, he actually sat with a family, and a grieving family who had lost a parent. And he made some comments that I feel really show and illustrate where he stands with this whole thing. And I think it's pretty illustrative of Cuomo and a lot of these Democratic governors that were willing to shuffle people around in nursing homes. And remember that 40% of COVID deaths were in nursing homes. So I go back to this, and this plays in my head over and over again. And he basically made it known that he feels that, people's lives become disposable at some point, and that's because of healthcare costs. And he made a comment about, if you're up there in age and you're 95 years old and you come to us, with cancer, even if you want treatment, we shouldn't treat people like that. But society's not ready to do that. And he made this comment back in 2011, and the Daily Caller rehashed it when he was a presidential candidate. And I go back to that again and again. And I think if we talk about Cuomo or we talk about any of these other governors, they were extremely irresponsible in the way that they handled it, putting the highest risk population in these nursing homes, basically putting them in death's waiting room, and then driving up the COVID death rate up to, 40% of the deaths, again, in nursing homes. Imagine if they hadn't done that. Imagine if they hadn't done the nursing home shuffle. There'd be a lot of people that would be alive right now. And I am very concerned about elderly people being put at risk because of these Democratic decisions.
Well, we jokingly called it the boomer doomer when it first started, but now I'm thinking that wasn't such a joke, was it? We know that the baby boom generation is still the largest generation, and we are the ones that are now going on these social services, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, nursing home stuff. So it's beginning to look a lot like Soylent Green to me and 1984, and we thought that could never happen in a free society either. Talk about the Good Club. Tell us what the good club
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, I don't want to forget about my 2014. Obama actually made a donation, which you can track and you can look at as well, which was a nonprofit that was tied to this whole thing. And actually, it was $3.7 million. It was granted to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. But if we even go back to 2009 and we talk about the Good Club, which is this secret billionaires club that Bill Gates has with his friends. We're talking Warren Buffett, Oprah Winfrey, you know the names, you know the players, Ted Turner. It's this mix of money and media powers. They meet in secret, and guess what they talk about? They talk about population control. That's one of the main things that they meet on, and global agendas. And these are all known globalists. Ted Turner, Oprah Winfrey, Michael Bloomberg, these billionaires that are not only unrelatable to the American public, but don't have an America First agenda at hand. And they've made that known. That's what they bash the president for again and again, is that he wants to put America first. Well, I don't know about you, but I live in America, and I'd like to see America come first when it comes to the health of my family and yours.
Well, let's talk about 2014 and $3.7 million grant from President Barack Obama to EcoHealth Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Yeah, it's a global nonprofit. Again, there's that word global, and that money went directly to fund research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Isn't that, again, ironic, prophetic, however you put it? It's a very telltale sign, you know, and to me, that was really the start of when things started to heat up. And that happened in 2014. And I do believe that some of this, you know, although it wasn't planned at the time, maybe let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they didn't actually leak the virus, but they knew that a pandemic or a serious epidemic could be something that could ruin our economy, that could change America as we know it, that could push a global agenda. And when you think about what their platforms are and what they stand for universal health care. They stand for a globalist system. And what better than to put those pieces in motion than a pandemic or a crisis like this that holds the American people hostage and changes their way of thinking?
Hold us hostage. That's really actually a very good description of how I feel anyway. I can't travel. I can't do anything. It seems like we're just stuck here wearing our masks, which once more isolates us. But I thought it was interesting that Dr. Fauci now is not being included in the COVID-19 press talks with the president. Do you find that interesting? What do you think that means?
I think our president's a very smart man, and I think he saw exactly what I saw and what you saw and what a lot of American people saw, is that if you go back to January 2020, you have Dr. Fauci on Newsmax saying, oh, this isn't a major threat, you know, don't worry. And then, you know, in February, he says, oh, on the Today Show, the risk is low. There's no need to change anything you're doing. And then all of a sudden, on March 17th, he throws the White House into this, we have to go into lockdown. 2.2 million people are going to die of fear. And guess where that 2.2 million statistic came from? Can you guess? It came from Bill Gates, and it came directly from the University of Washington. And it actually came out of the study that they did, which you probably heard about, which is Event 201, which is in October of 2019. They put on a simulated pandemic that was based on a coronavirus. You know, I sat here doing the research and I just scratched my head again and again. And you go back to 2018 and Bill Gates is working on the episode of Explained for Netflix, which is based on a pandemic, a coronavirus that originates in a wet market in China caused by a bat. You know, at some point you have to wake up and you have to say, you know, and so, on some level we're getting played. And I don't mean that in the way to say that this isn't a real virus and that people aren't at risk. People are dying and it's horrible and it's tragic. But we have governors that are shipping around, you know, people in nursing homes and, you know, really putting them at serious risk and throwing those numbers up. And we have false testing numbers and everything else. And it all comes into play. And all you got to do is look at the timeline and look at the facts.
Well, that's the problem. We're not getting the facts, or the facts that we're getting are inconsistent, or they they fight with one another. We can't tell which one's the right one and which one's something that's been inflated. Do we have any real numbers? Right now they're saying, well, we're on a surge. Are we really, or are we just testing more? We don't know. I can't tell. Can you?
I can to a certain extent, and I've looked at these numbers. I've been looking at these numbers since the beginning of this thing, and I can tell you that we are testing more. We're testing a lot more. And one of the other problems you have is that we have a lot of false positives, which, you know, I guess really puts us on the if you want to look at the good part about it, it puts people in an environment of being safer and quarantining. Okay, well, that could be the good, the positive that we could take away from the positives, but they're not real numbers. And that's a real negative. These are not real numbers. And we are testing at very high rates. And then, of course, like just in Florida, you know, where I am, we have this situation where the numbers are being misreported. And you probably heard about the hospitals in Orlando, these testing facilities that were actually misreporting their numbers. And instead of 9.8, the numbers got reported as 98% positive. So, you know, you have a couple of those mistakes and all of a sudden your numbers are skewed. And I've been looking at this thing since the beginning, and I really can't make heads or tails of what the truth is. And I don't think anybody out there can. And I think that's part of the reason why the president has finally gotten fed up. And he said, you know what, Fauci, I can't trust you. I can't have you in on this. And I think that's why he separated himself, because the statistics and the data that we were getting at the beginning was all driven by Bill Gates and his agenda. These were his numbers from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the research that they had done about a similar pandemic that might happen. And now here we are, and that's what we were basing our response on. And now we're finding out that, you know, we don't know what we're dealing with.
We don't. And I, for one, I'm up to here with it. I'm done with this. I want to just take my chances. No more masks, no more social distancing, no more. I just let me take my chances with whatever's out there and do the very best, trust God, and see how that works out, because certainly we can't trust our government anymore. Karyn, Turk, would you tell our audience how they can view this video and other videos that you make, how they can read the things that you're writing, how they can stay in touch with you? Tell us how. Tell us how to do that.
Absolutely. You can find me all over social media. I'm really active on social media. You can do that on Facebook. I have a public page. Please follow me on TV on YouTube. And not only do I have this video out, but I'm actually working on a video right now, which is going to be very telling as well. And it goes behind the headlines of the Epstein story and behind the headlines of the arrest of Ghislaine Maxwell. And there are going to be some things that are really going to blow your mind.
I'm sure. You know, I feel like we're living in a communist country sometimes with all the propaganda that we're getting. We're so grateful to you, Karyn Turk, for being our guest here on Conservative Commandos radio show. Take care and God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Karyn.
We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios. I'm Sharron Angle here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak, and we'll be right back with more.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000.
You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club
For around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry.
They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more.
Call the number on your screen now for a free no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and 0 deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Angle here with my co-host Melissa Isaak. And Melissa, we're out of time. But could you tell our listeners how they can friend you and follow you? And also, would you thank our guests?
Absolutely. So I'm on Facebook, just Melissa Isaak. I'm on Instagram, Melissa Isaak, and Twitter, Melissa Isaak. So pretty boring, but it's Isaak with a K. They're all spelled differently sometimes, so that's where you can find me. But our 3 guests today were very informative. We spoke with Susan Crabtree, and Susan Crabtree is a White House and national political correspondent for Real Clear Politics, where she covers President Trump, his administration, and their conflicts with Capitol Hill, the 2020 election, spending battles, and national security. And we talked about her article she wrote, Rioters Defund the Police puts Democrat candidates on the defense. And it's interesting talking to her because, you know, when you have these politicians who say things, and then when it's an election year, they might not say things and they might stay away from certain things. We talked about how Doug Jones is probably the most vulnerable politician, and being in Alabama, I would agree with that. But it's interesting from a political standpoint because, you know, we as Americans, we just want our politicians to go in there, represent us and our morals and our values, and you know, politics permeates everything. So then we spoke with Anne-Marie Hancock, and Anne-Marie is the author of a book, You Can't Drive Your Car to Your Own Funeral. And she talked about this 3-year journey that she had taking care of her terminally ill mother. She opted not to put her mother in a nursing facility, but we've talked about nursing facilities, especially with COVID-19. A lot of advocacy needs to be had for our parents, our loved ones, our grandparents who are going into these facilities, because it's over 40% of the COVID deaths, is what she said, are related to nursing homes. So great information from her on what you need to do, what you need to watch out for, and really how to advocate for loved ones you do have in a nursing home. And we spoke with Karyn Turk. What a neat lady. So Karyn Turk is a political commentator, actor, news broadcaster. Basically, Karyn Turk has done it all. If you think about something really neat, she's done it. So we can skip this long bio, but she has a YouTube video, The Truth About the COVID-19 Plandemic, where she really dug in research. I mean, she found that Bill Gates' father was on the board of directors for, or the head of Planned Parenthood, that Dr. Fauci's wife is the one that kind of rubber stamps these vaccinations that come through, and how the vaccine that he's associated with is getting pushed through, and other companies seem to be really blocked, in terms of coming out with a vaccine. So it's neat talking to her because she's very educated, she's very versed, very passionate about what she's found. And look, you guys, I really love talking to her because we as Americans, we have to be educated, and we need to know what our government is doing. If they're moving the pieces on the chessboard, it's good to know what that means for us as Americans. So, yeah, another show with great guests, very informative.
Yes, very terrific guest this time. And if you want to follow me, go to SharonAngle.com. But for right now, we're out of time. We got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio with Roger Stone.
Roger.
Hello and welcome to Buffoon of the Week. It's a show where we comb through last week's news and current events in search of people who did or said something so flat out idiotic that we feel the need to share their story with you. And after we present it to you, we ask you a simple question. Who was the bigger buffoon? And you get to tell us in the comments right below this video or on any of our social media platforms. When we did this last week, you chose former Trump attorney and current federal convict Michael Cohen as Buffoon of the Week. But once again, the vote was split between our Facebook family and our YouTube friends. If only there was a way to provide a central location where all votes can be recorded together in harmony. I don't know, like a website or something. For those of you who may be checking us out for the first time, we release weekly videos on Mondays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So if you like what you see in this or any of our other videos, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. And please subscribe to the show. We can literally taste the 200 subscriber mark. And once we get there, we're going to unveil a little expansion to what we do here. So help us get there. It's just a small click of a button for you guys, but to us, it means so much more. As always, before we reveal this week's nominees, we're going to lend the spotlight to some other buffoons who did their very best to win the nomination, but just fell short. So we now present this week's dishonorable mention. Yeah, clowns! Oh, come on guys, could you give me a little warning next time? Jeez. Everyone is worried about what's going to happen with school in the fall. For Rice University, it's going to look like Clown College. A news report last Friday indicated that classes will take place outdoors under the big top while managing social distancing. Just imagine sitting in the Texas heat and humidity and paying college tuition to having to sit under a tent, and you have to bring your own chairs to class. All of a sudden, online learning doesn't seem so bad now, does it? Next, we continue to catalog every Karyn that we find in the wild. Meet Starbucks Karyn, Amber Lynn Gillis, who complained in a Facebook post last month about her experience in a San Diego Starbucks, posting a picture of barista Lennon Gutierrez, who denied her service for not wearing a mask. The picture went viral, and a GoFundMe was set up in support of Gutierrez, which raised more than $100,000. Now, Karyn is demanding half of that money for being the victim of discrimination.
I wanted to bring awareness about the discrimination.
Gillis says she has medical problems, but also says masks are not effective.
One of them, I get shortness of breath, dizziness, and it messes with the heartbeat. And I do have asthma as well. So I do get maskne. So there's several things going on. And not only that, it doesn't even work. It was discrimination, and everybody's okay with it and enabling and rewarding that kind of behavior.
When asked if she has any apology or message to the public.
No, absolutely not. I feel like I need the apology. I've been discriminated against.
Oh, and about all those claimed medical excuses for not wearing a mask, all Miss Gillis provided was a handwritten note from a chiropractor. That's totally believable.
Sure, Dan.
How about this for fake news? USA Today supposedly fact-checked a claim that a Trump campaign logo resembled a Nazi eagle, and even tweeted that the claim was in fact true. But wait a minute. When you read the actual article, it contradicts the tweet, saying that while it is true that someone claimed the symbol was Nazi in nature, eagles are also a part of American iconography, so there's no way to call the symbol Nazi. So in effect, doesn't that make USA Today big fat liars? This is why you always need to fact check those fact checkers. Speaking of the factually challenged, we're back on DeBozo Watch. It seems a week doesn't go by without Bill de Blasio firmly planting his ample foot into his big fat mouth. Last week, de Blasio hailed the news that city prisons were at their lowest population since World War II, and that the city was better off for it. What he conveniently left out was that the reason for the prisons being empty was his early release of prisoners due to COVID. And apparently his definition of better means shooting incidents jumping over 250% from last year, a revolving jail door thanks to bail reform, and over 250 of those released prisoners reoffended, some more than once. So yeah, Billy boy, things are so much better. In fact, I think the city is dying from all of your improvements. And finally, this past week saw the emergence of the Kanye West for President campaign, followed by the rumored closing of the Kanye West for President campaign, according to some sources, which was then followed by announcements that Kanye was planning rallies and working to get onto the ballot for his presidential campaign. Well, on behalf of all of us here at Buffoon of the Week, Kanye, we couldn't be more happy to hear about this. Hey, good luck with everything out there, and we hope you're still running when reality kicks back in. But until then, thanks for all the content. Even with all this buffoonery going on, there were still two nominees who were clearly the cream of the crop. This week, we pit New York Governor Andrew Cuomo against entertainer Nick Cannon. This week's first nominee is New York Governor Andrew Cuomo because he was able to commit 3 astoundingly buffoonish acts all in the space of 1 week. It all started with a victory lap.
What we went through and what we did was historic. Because we did tame the beast. We did turn the corner. We did plateau that mountain. And then we came down the other side. And they will be talking about what we did for decades to come. I love history. I love poster art. Poster art is something they did in the early 1900s, late 1800s, when they had to communicate their whole platform candidacy on one piece of paper. So I did a new one for what we went through with COVID. And I think the general shape is familiar to you. We went up the mountain, we curved the mountain, we came down the other side.
What the actual hell is this audacious piece of crap? Oh, and the poster sucks too. The reception from both the public and, surprisingly, the usually friendly left-wing press was, to put it mildly, not too nice.
New York's Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo seems to be on something of a victory tour, congratulating the state and himself for defeating the virus, even selling this poster, which shows his state getting over the mountain by bringing down the curve during the 111 days of hell, as the governor put it. The poster includes references to his daughters and a boyfriend, little inside jokes. There are no illustrations, however, of the more than 32,000 dead New Yorkers, the highest death toll by far of any state. No rendering on that poster of criticism that Governor Cuomo ignored warnings, no depiction of the study that he could have saved thousands of lives had he and Mayor de Blasio acted sooner, no painting there on the poster of his since rescinded order that nursing homes take all infected patients in. But let's be clear, this is revisionism. And a lot of the crowing and Governor Cuomo going on late night is offending a lot of New Yorkers. Are people going to be talking about what Governor Cuomo did for decades to come in the way he hopes?
But I got to tell you, Jake, we heard from a lot of people today. Some of it solicited, some of it unsolicited, and most everyone had some tone of, look, let's slow this down, this victory lap.
You know, our numbers, especially in downstate New York, weren't just the worst numbers in the country. We actually had the worst numbers on the planet.
The poster deserves mocking, but it's a very serious subject, as you point out, between the nursing homes and the number of deaths. And I hate to make light of it, but my goodness, I mean, the idea that you put a poster out with yourself, your kids, and then try to mock the president at the same time after you've mocked him, I really think this is like the political equivalent of jumping the shark.
And yet, Governor Cuomo is extremely proud of his worst in the nation performance. He is now selling a retro-looking propaganda poster that touts New York's COVID response. He's bragging about it on Twitter and even on late night TV.
Cuomo was too busy having fun to talk about any dead people, though.
I have to ask for a friend. They want to know, and I won't say her name. She wants to know, what phase of dating are you currently in?
0. I'm at phase 0 on dating. There's no duration on phase 0.
Yeah, wow.
There is no automatic time that you go to phase 1. You could stay at phase 0 for months, by the way. I think New York City will be fully reopened before I get out of phase 0 on dating.
Once again, the reaction to Cuomo shenanigans was not very positive, especially from those who were deeply affected by his missteps.
My husband lost both of his parents, his mom, Dee, in an assisted living facility, and his dad in a nursing home. They died of coronavirus alone. We never had a funeral. We never had a wake. We weren't able to see them before they died. And to see Governor Cuomo on television just this past week talking about his love life and this disgusting poster that is basically a depiction of 32,000 people that died. It's not funny. It's tone deaf. And it makes my heart hurt because we're still mourning our loved ones.
If that weren't enough, Cuomo totally contradicted his own optics by decreeing that bars in the state of New York could not reopen unless they also served patrons food. Come on, man, what kind of celebration doesn't include booze? Bars across the state gave Cuomo the social media equivalent of the finger by creating cheap bar menus that made a total mockery of the governor. I mean, who wouldn't want 9 fries for $1, right? If we can get serious for 1 second, Cuomo's mixed messages were not only poor communication to his constituents, but provided the absolutely wrong optics. The governor of the state with the most COVID-related deaths celebrating, giving himself a pat on the back, laughing on late-night TV? The arrogance is real, and so is his hypocrisy. And it's also clear that the order he gave for bars was more about people control than it was about disease control. Take a good look, folks. This is buffoonery on a level rarely seen. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show. This week's second nominee is the multi-talented host of The Masked Singer, Nick Cannon. Nick went off on a bit of a racist rant on his podcast with his guest, Professor Griff, formerly of Public Enemy, that was taped many months ago. And, well, rather than hearing it from me, I'll let Nick speak for himself.
Then let's go to what it really is then. When we talk about the power of melanated people, when we talk about who we really are as guys and understanding that our melanin is so powerful and it connects us in a way that the reason why they fear black, the reason why they fear is because the lack that they have of it. So then when you see what, Dr. Francis C. Welsing talked about is that fear in that
just genetic annihilation,
deficiency of when you have a person that has the lack of pigment, the lack of melanin, that they know that they will be annihilated. So therefore, however they got the power, they have the lack of compassion. That melanin comes with compassion. Melanin comes with soul. That we call it soul. We soul brothers and sisters. That's the melanin that connects us. So the people that don't have it are a little, and I'm gonna say this carefully, are a little less, and where the term actually comes from, because I'm bringing it all the way back around to Minister Farrakhan, to where they may not have the compassion or the when they were sent to the mountains of Caucasus, when they didn't have the power of the sun, that the sun then started to deteriorate them. So then they're acting out of fear, they're acting out of low self-esteem, they're acting out of a deficiency. So therefore, the only way that they can act is evil.
So in order for me to be anti-Semitic, I'd have to be anti-black man, anti-black woman, anti-black people, anti-Africa, anti-all of the people.
Because the Semitic people
are black people.
So y'all get that clarity. We're gonna say that again. Now, the Semitic people are black people.
So I cannot be anti-Semitic. Now, what do they really use the phrase anti-Semitic to do? That's the thing.
To divide it. When it's never hate speech, when it's not.
Right.
You can't be anti-Semitic when the Semitic, when we are the Semitic people, when we are the same people that who they want to be. That's our birthright.
That's our birthright.
Whew, boy. That's just a small sample of a much longer show that involved conspiracy theories about Zionists, the Illuminati, the Rothschild family. I'm half shocked that there wasn't a corkboard with yarn in the background. There's not enough time to break down many of these racist tropes and fake science, but needless to say, Cannon got called out on this tripe and was even fired from Viacom. His response to being fired was just as bad, as Cannon fired off a statement saying that Viacom was trying to, quote, kick me while I'm down or force me to kiss the master's feet in public. Cannon did eventually apologize for some of his anti-Semitic statements, but by then, the damage had been done. Obviously, espousing racist disinformation and trying to pass it off as truth and science is a dangerous kind of buffoonery. But so is Nick Cannon's defiant double down, which was ignorance on top of ignorance. There's a lot of similarity here with last week's nominee, Deshaun Jackson, but just on a larger magnitude because of Cannon's platform. And did you notice how Farrakhan's name came up again? There's a root to all of this evil. When you lay down with dogs, you may end up with fleas. So when Nick Cannon hangs with known bigots and shares their polluted message, you tend to get lumped in with that same crowd. Hey, don't forget that Buffoon of the Week is all over social media, so when you're online, make sure you like us on Facebook, you follow us on the Twitters, and go on over to Instagram and like us there too. But the most important thing you have to do is remember to subscribe right here on YouTube. Well, another week's in the books, and you have two bigly buffoons out there. But only one can win. It's time to vote, America. Tell us who you got for this week's Buffoon of the Week. So thanks again for tuning into the entire show. You may have noticed we're trying to do some new and different things on it. This is all in preparation for getting 200 subscribers and unveiling a whole bunch of new stuff. What does that mean? Check back next week when we'll have 2 more nominees, but only one can be Buffoon of the Week.